Hi everyone, just before we jump into the video today, something really exciting just popped up, and that is to celebrate my 11th anniversary of content creation tomorrow. For one day only, I'm going to be giving away more QuickyBaby commanders. So if you missed the opportunity last year, or maybe you just want another one, then swing by on Twitch. Hi everyone, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks, and today we've got the pleasure of watching Innoh of the European server playing in their Tier 9 Chinese tank destroyer. It is the WZ-111 GFT. This vehicle is one of the most overpowered sleeper tanks inside the game because nobody plays their way up the Chinese tank destroyer tech tree. Even though the vehicles are currently top of the tree, you really don't see many people making their way up towards them because it's just really this nothing kind of tank, the WZ-113 GFT. It's not an Object 268 version 4, which is so meta, so fun. You can ram, go around quick, play stupid, still do well. It's not a Jagdpanzer 100 with big alpha damage, and it's not even something like a T123, which packs really good frontal armor. The WZ-113, the bigger brother of this vehicle, kind of just does everything reasonably well, but doesn't do anything very well at all. And that's why it's, I think, the least popular Tier 10 tech tree tank in the game. Nevertheless, its little brother, the WZ-111 GFT, aka the Tier 9 tank that Innoh is going to be playing today, packs pretty much all of the firepower of the Tier 10 because it's using an identical gun. And while it does lack a lot of the armor and a good chunk of the mobility, this vehicle's probably the one that you want to stop at along the tech tree. This vehicle always bewilders me when I play it because I just question why you do get that full Tier 10 tank destroyer gun at Tier 9. And one of the best things about this vehicle is the wide variety of ammunition that it has. The armor-piercing rounds still have 290mm of PEM, and they're 152mm, so you can manage to overmatch all 50mm plates. And also, as Innoh is going to show here, this vehicle gets Tier 10 high explosive rounds. That is 1,100 alpha damage, rolling up for 1,193 against the Bat Chatillon 25 TAP. And these rounds have 90mm of pen. These are the same rounds that you'll have on a T110E4, a T110E3 for example, or on the regular 268, but not the 268 version 4. And those HE rounds can really one-shot certain light tanks, and but reduce Tier 9 medium tanks like that down to 2/3 or even, a third or even a quarter of their starting hit points. And then, to finish it all off, as if those two rounds weren't good enough, this vehicle also has high explosive anti-tank rounds with 395mm of penetration. That, remember, aren't going to lose any penetration over distance, so you're going to be having all of that irrelevant of what kind of distance you're shooting your opponents. Now, I'd like to clarify that Innoh has actually changed the premium rounds here onto their 1 key and has their standard rounds on their 2 key, and they are going to fire a lot of gold in this replay. So if you're thinking, oh wow, this tank destroyer looks like it gets heat rounds for its standard rounds, no. These rounds are costing about 7,000 credits a shot, and they're what I feel that you would want to dip into on this vehicle if you wanted to really secure a penetration against a very heavily armored tank. It's crazy what 395mm of heat can do inside World of Tanks, and yeah, that's definitely an overpen there, so to say, against the Lorraine, that lightly armored French medium tank, eradicated from this battle. Innoh is showing me a position that I haven't seen many players using so far, but they are really going to demonstrate just how effective this position can be. You slinky down, you shoot the heavy tanks that are going through the center, and then you can go up on the little platform above, and then you can shoot all of the heavy tanks and the medium tanks that are located down towards the south. This is a killer position, because if you knock the trees down in the way that Innoh has knocked the trees down, you can also be able to get all of that extra juicy camo. And this is just a good example of good map awareness and knowing where the best positions are to go inside World of Tanks. Innoh is going to show a lot of you just how powerful this position can be, and to demonstrate their knowledge as a player. And quite often in World of Tanks, it's not about having the best reactions or the best aim. It's about having that mindset of knowing where the best positions are going to be and what tanks to take them into said positions. And look no further than a vehicle with huge alpha and huge penetration for trying to sneak around in a position like this. So Innoh has nonchalantly done 6,000 damage in this game. You know what, if I was in a tier 10 tank, I would consider 6,000 damage to be a very decent round of World of Tanks. But Innoh hasn't lost a single hit point. Talking about not losing a hit point, they've actually decided to increase their hit points, as we can see here, to 2,000. Makes me wonder what other modules that Innoh is deciding to use on this vehicle. Definitely doesn't look like it's coated optics, because with the premium consumable, a good crew, and the field mods on this tank, you can actually get more than enough view range with this 380 meters base to not have to use coated optics. Innoh's probably going to be using a gun rammer on this tank, maybe vents or a turbo in addition to that durability device, or maybe they've decided to pump up the accuracy of this vehicle because it doesn't have the best of accuracy at 0.4 base. All of the other aspects of this tank are absolutely wonderful. It gets amazing turret traverse dispersion, great damage per minute at 2,500. And it's crazy how different this vehicle is to the tier 8, which I've currently been playing on my free-to-play account. And I can tell you the tier 8 along this line is not one that you want to be playing. With its 1,000 hit points, it definitely doesn't feel as if it truly is a heavily, or this kind of brawling or tanking tank destroyer with increased durability like the WZ-111G manages to get. So unluckily, Innoh doesn't manage to go through the top of the E75 there. Looking for a second shot onto the top of the vehicle. Will they manage to find it just a pixel away from taking out the tier 9 German tank destroyer? And there we go. That 0.4 accuracy not managing to hold back Innoh in their WZ-111G. So this game is as tight as it can be right now. Innoh's got 6 players on his team against 7 remaining enemy vehicles, although now, advancing towards a Tiger 2, it looks like it is very quickly going to be 6 remaining vehicles, and luckily for Innoh, the Tiger 2 ricochets their second shell against their vehicle, meaning they can keep a few more of their hit points to try and get through this very tight game, with their team being down now by 2,000 hit points. Okay, so in this kind of a scenario, Innoh's in a bit of an awkward situation. A 252U on full hit points above, a Panther 2 possibly managing to flank away. We see a Kanonen Jagdpanzer with 105mm scurrying away across the east to be able to get away from that Panther 2, which is definitely going to finish them off very easily if they catch them out in the open there. So what is Innoh's best bet? You know what it is? It's just raw aggression in this scenario. And when you have 750 alpha damage and you can 2-shot a heavy tank, you know what, why not? Alright, you hit me for 440, I've got more hit points than you, and I managed to got a bigger gun that can hit harder. So that's awesome trading there, but unfortunately, oof, that charioteer, that makes it not such a good trade now, with Innoh losing half of their remaining hit points, now being a 2-shot for most of the enemy vehicles. However, the Lorraine on the enemy team finishes Young Spicy Man playing their Object 252U, making this game more manageable for Innoh, because it was looking quite scary there with the Panther 2 above, who was spotted on 3/4 of their hit points, but at least the Object 252U is down. So Innoh, with 4 frags to their name, now trying to figure out how they can deal with this Panther 2. They decided to reload AP in this scenario. I believe that is to be able to maybe save the heat for later on against the Type 4 Heavy, possibly with only 9 rounds left. Or alternatively, against German armor that isn't very thick, quite often this 152mm will be able to catch some overmatch plates on the Panther 2. I'm thinking the Panther 2 side armor, I'm not even sure if it's that much higher than 50, and if it is 50, then they'll be able to go all the way through the side of that tank. The Lorraine chunking out the Panther. Innoh finds a pixel shot there, doesn't want to commit to it, and the Lorraine actually manages to clip out that Panther 2 with, I believe, 4 penetrating shells. Innoh probably thinking, oh, I'm glad somebody else is actually doing something on my team, right? As they're up to 7,500 damage now. But again, there's nearly 5,000 hit points left on the enemy team to be able to contend with. And in these kind of situations, it's always nerve-wracking because the Progetto 66 is not within Innoh's render distance. So that means that they can't update the hit points that Progetto 66 is on. So to all intents and purposes, that Progetto 66 could be a one-shot in this scenario. And then the 2,700 hit points that Innoh's team has left will quickly change if that was to be deleted from the hit point pool there. And unfortunately, talk about being deleted, the Charioteer manages to finish off that Hero Lorraine that killed the 252U and the Panther 2. Okay, so Innoh now renders in the Kanonen Jagdpanzer. They are on the same amount of hit points as we saw them when they were over towards the east. Shows you how fast that German tank destroyer is that they managed to make it all the way up there. So this Conway is definitely a one-shot for Innoh here. But oh, that looks delicious. Look at that. The whole of an M3Y to be able to take out. No way. I would probably have my head in my hands at that miss. That doesn't even seem to make sense. You can see Innoh kind of like wiggling around here just to feather to make sure there isn't some kind of magical shield. Looks like they hit the M3Y there. And considering they were on full hit points, let's take a look to see whether when the M3Y gets spotted again, whether Innoh did actually manage to penetrate that blind fire. But unfortunately, they got spotted in that scenario. Not sure if it's the Conway, or maybe Innoh just got too close to the M3Y, who has exceptional view range. But we can clearly see it definitely isn't the Conway, as they've been spotted up towards the north, now putting pressure on the Progetto 66, with the Canonian Jagdpanzer unfortunately falling. So Innoh plants a big old meaty round to the side of the Type 4 Heavy, although it does low roll substantially, nearly 150 less than the 750 alpha damage this tank packs. And Innoh, having maybe hit that M3Y, bounces a shot from the tier 8 American heavy tank and now advances up the slope as quickly as they possibly can to be able to go and help the Progetto. And there you go, the Progetto's hit points just updated, and they have been a one-shot in this scenario, with the Conway marching them down. And if they can get above them in the dip, then that will leave Innoh in a 1 versus 4. So Innoh wants to try and get into the fight here, wants to try and help that Progetto out against the Conway and do everything they can, but also doesn't want to get too close to the ridge. You can see they get behind this rock because they expect, if they get spotted, that the 3 tanks that are up in that sniper's nest are going to be able to finish them off. So Innoh aiming to the left here, knowledgeable about the buildings and their positioning, but hoping that that Conway is going to be able to expose himself. Innoh not quite sure whether they want to go left or right here, so they're going to decide to go behind these rocks here, get in a bush, hope that the Conway's going to make a mistake, and there we go, a big old British booty for Innoh to have a go at, and clean right into the side of the British tank destroyer, not getting spotted, so it's not going to become a 1 versus 4. Innoh keeps it as a 2 versus 3, but oh dear, the Charioteer appears, the Progetto puts 1 round in, meaning that there's not going to be any low rolls, and the M3Y reappears with what looks like about 670 hit points less. Wow, is Innoh ever going to start high rolling in this game? Goodness gracious. Apart from that meaty shell that we had at the beginning in the high explosive against the Batchat, I don't think Innoh has rolled more than 1 shell plus 19 this entire battle, which means it's even more impressive that they're up to that 8,700 damage total. But it's not going to stay like that for long, as Innoh has a tier 9 Japanese heavy tank right out in front of them. It's the Type 4 Heavy. Oh gosh, Innoh rushes that shot. This is 395 heat pen we're talking about here. It should easily be able to get rid of the Type 4. And Innoh, using their all in their focus, goes forwards into the bush, not to spot the Type 4 Heavy, but to see the Charioteer towards the right. Innoh plants one there into the front of the Type 4 Heavy, now putting their damage total to over 9,000. That is outrageous for a tier 10 tank, let alone a tier 9. And Innoh truly showing that they're a tier 9 tank having a tier 10 impact in this game. Okay, it's all green. Easy pen, right? Uh-oh. Come on, Innoh. You've only got 2 minutes left to deal with the last 3 vehicles. Don't know how that one didn't manage to go in. And that's 7,000 credits that Innoh won't be getting back. Unless, of course, they're going to be going and spamming some of their premiums. This time, however, will Innoh manage to find the side of the Type 4 Heavy's turret? Yes, they do. But that is a lot of wasted time. And the Charioteer comes forward and manages to spot Innoh. Innoh's not going to quite have the gun depression now to be able to get the Charioteer. But I'm just hoping for all reason that they're going to be able to get the shot in clean to the side of the turret of the Charioteer. And that M3Y that Innoh reduced to about half hit points earlier will be probably about a 50-50 one-shot for them to be able to finish off. Innoh's ricocheting their rounds with this fairly reliable 200mm of frontal hull armor. And there is the M3Y. Come on, Innoh. Right through the... Oh, no! The 0.4 accuracy rearing its ugly head. And now with 1 minute left and over 10,000 damage dealt that we've seen, Innoh is going to venture forwards to see if they can manage to catch the M3Y. They're going to let the chips fall where they may, risk it for the biscuit, and see if they can manage to get through this 1 versus 1, even though the M3Y has double the hit points. Although, even though the M3Y has double the hit points, I think Innoh has kind of like at least double, if not triple, the alpha damage of the M3Y. However, with a reload time of roughly about 12 to 15 seconds of this vehicle, Innoh's going to have to fire fast if he wants to get that second shell in, unless he's going to high roll. Come on, baby, this is the high roll of the game. No, only 740. Now Innoh only has 15 seconds left. The M3Y crests the ridge, puts a round right into Innoh's lower plate, meaning they're both a one-shot now on pretty much equal hit points of 166 and 168 with 5 seconds left, 4 seconds left. Come on, M3Y, risk it for the win, please. No, boys and girls, it is a draw on this absolute gigantic game in what was, to all intents and purposes, a mammoth carry of World of Tanks. Innoh was absolutely robbed here. When I first watched this replay, my heart was pretty much in my mouth with anticipation to see if Innoh could be able to get through this one, as it was truly shaping up to be one of those duels that just makes World of Tanks so special at the end of the game. Unfortunately, the M3Y didn't really fancy their chances and didn't give both themselves or Innoh a chance to hit each other and to break this draw in an undoubtedly epic battle. So this was 11,411 damage dealt in a tier 9 tank destroyer, clearly enough to be able to get Innoh the high caliber. This truly was a tier 9 tank having pretty much a tier 11 impact, but it was still not enough to be able to win the battle. Innoh, both my congratulations on this mammoth game and my condolences for not quite being able to get through it. If you hadn't had that bad RNG with those missed shots against the Type 4 Heavy, and it wasn't your fault that they missed, it was more of just RNG saying no to you, or that horrific bad RNG against the M3Y earlier on, you would have definitely taken this one down. But such is the nature of a tank that it invests itself into such an extreme gun, which has some of the best and also some of the most awkward stats of any of the tier 9 tank destroyers. So Innoh, thank you so much for uploading this mammoth game to the What Replays website for the community to enjoy. I thoroughly did, and I hope all of you out there watching this video did as well. If you did, give the video a thumbs up. If you hated it, give it a thumbs down. And once again, don't miss tomorrow, Saturday the 20th of May, live on Twitch. I'll be celebrating my 11th anniversary of content creation, and everyone who watches will be able to get themselves a QB emblem, inscription, and even a QuickyBaby commander for you to use in-game in World of Tanks. So if you missed out on him last year, or maybe you just want another one, come swing by on twitch.tv/QuickyBaby, where I'm going to be streaming until I drop, trying to give away as many QB commanders as possible. And as always, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic, and hopefully I'll see you soon.